This is Digital Breakthroughs, putting the spotlight on cutting-edge digital marketing strategies for your business. With your host, CEO of industry-recognized digital marketing and social media agency, National Positions, Bernard May.
Welcome, everybody, to the Digital Breakthroughs podcast. I am really excited to welcome a whole panel of National Positions experts to chat with me today about the upcoming 2020 holiday season. I'm really interested to hear from the panel about all the changes they're expecting this holiday season. My goal is to find out what we need to do to prepare for the holidays and what's going to be different and what will stay the same. So let me start out by introducing our panel. I'm going to start with Matt Erickson. Matt is the Director of Marketing at National Positions. He has over a decade of marketing experience in the consumer, entertainment, and information security industries. And Matt's interest in marketing stems from his fascination with behavioral psychology and creative design. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. And then next is Courtney Peirce. Courtney heads out our lead strategy and operations efforts at National Positions. Besides being a Google and Amazon expert, Courtney is a very avid hiker. And if you're ever in Southern California and you want to go on a great hike, Courtney is your person. Welcome, Courtney. And then we've got Scott McCutcheon. Scott's one of our lead Google and paid social experts. Not only has he a passion for Google and Facebook and Instagram, he's also a punk rock and underground music enthusiast. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for including me.
Great. So I'm going to just jump into our first question. And this is the one that I'm sure all of our audience are interested in is, how has COVID-19 impacted online marketing? So maybe I'll start with you, Matt. How has that impacted people online?
I don't know an aspect that it hasn't affected when it comes to online. I mean, especially, from a consumer standpoint, I mean, we're all, even though we're in the business, we're all consumers also. So there's definitely a portion of our purchasing activity that has shifted online, whether we're using Amazon more or we're trying to buy and then pick up because they don't want to go in the store, or if you're in California, we're all in Los Angeles, don't want to gamble if we have to wait in lines to go in stores, so that definitely has affected, our purchasing activity. But just from a, from a marketing standpoint, from a business standpoint, that the discovery that most of us had being out in the world, a lot of that has been, for all intents and purposes, chopped off at the knees. We don't get to do that as much as we used to. So we're searching more on our, on our devices, but we're also searching more on our desktop devices or our laptops because we're at home more often, so we may not have to be driving to find what we want, or if we're going to order food at home, we'll just order from home, and we're not always relying on this nearly as much as maybe we had to before. So I know, at least from my perspective and the company's perspective, we've definitely seen a shift to going, rather than how do we drive people into our retail locations, it's like, okay, how do we get them to our digital storefronts to close more opportunities that way?
This is really, as you said, impacted everyone in a very significant way. I heard this comment recently. Everyone knows what FOMO is, fear of missing out. But there's this new concept called FOGO, the fear of going out. And I think that talks to exactly what you're saying, Matt. People are scared to go out. People are trying to do a lot more online. Scott, did you want to weigh in on this? How's COVID impacted 2020?
Just one thing I've been kind of keeping a close eye on is just looking at Shopify's stock. It really reflects how businesses have responded to COVID. Looking at March 19th, when things have really slowed down, that's when California went into full lockdown. And up until yesterday, the stock has seen a 176% increase in their share prices. So that in and of itself is quite telling. More people are being forced and pushed into a digital presence, even if they haven't considered it previously. And although more states are relaxing their restrictions and more businesses are opening up, it just has forced people to consider those alternatives. And many have made this transition with great success. both through their own entrepreneurial spirit or through the assistance of agencies like ours. And it's also pushed some older demographics who may have been slow to adopt online shopping, maybe outside the big players like Amazon, who are looking for those niche products that maybe they were only able to find at a local store that's been shut down since. So and people are having a positive buying experience. There is a lot of uncertainty and doubt maybe for some of these consumers purchasing off of some company's website, but they're getting their products and they're happy. So yeah, it's been really interesting to watch.
Great. And yeah, so interesting to watch, companies, obviously digital companies doing extremely well. I know the rest of the economy is very mixed in how things are working out. I wanted to just go over to Courtney and maybe ask you a little bit about trends. What are you seeing on the paid search side in regards to trends, or just in general for this holiday season? What's staying the same? What's changing out there?
Yeah, most definitely. Like they both mentioned, our clients saw a huge impact, whether positively or negatively, March, April, May. Luckily, a lot of local businesses were able to recover during the summer months, and other B2B online lead generation also started to see a huge recovery in the summer months. It's interesting, some apparel or other online shopping businesses did see another dip towards August, early September, which could be on par with what we usually see during that time period as kids start going back to school and that sort of thing. But one huge impact that is different this year than last year is that parents are at home with their kids, guiding them through their lesson plans. And that is a huge differentiator year over year. And we saw some dips in many markets.
So with the parents staying at home, what is that, how do you see that impacting overall? Which maybe industries are doing well, which ones are hurting? What are you seeing there with that particular trend?
Most definitely B2B. We saw an impact with the downward trend as, business professionals are having to be interrupted through their day-to-day to just jump in and help their kids. Online shopping or additional inquiries, exploratory inquiries with other businesses dropped off during that time. Down to just what are the necessities I have to tackle in my day-to-day right now with the kids.
I'm very interested in areas like convenience. So, people at home and they have to look after their kids and they have to work. So how is that impacted online in regards to convenience, and maybe also in regards to, people being loyal to brands?
Sure. One thing in particular is, convenience, deliverability from those businesses need to be highlighted now more than ever, with delayed delivery times, inconsistent inventory, those sort of things. Shoppers are having to really think about what businesses they want to go through for reliability right now. Also for, what was it? It was, I lost it. Best affordable keyword has grown 60% year over year. Yeah. So we need to really be thinking about that as we're guiding our clients into what keywords to focus on, whether organic or paid search.
So
can I tag in on that?
Please go ahead, Matt.
Sorry. To go with I was doing some research a couple weeks ago on, I think it was an article maybe for Forbes, maybe in our own blog, I don't remember. But that was a trend that's also been happening when it comes to convenience versus loyalty. And because when so much extra traffic has been, moving online to try to find new products, and you're seeing this a lot more now. Like I do sparkling water in gallons. I'm always trying to find those CO2 cartridges. And now, like if I search, the first thing I look for is who has it available, not who is carrying it. So that is also actually leads to an opportunity to, if there are smaller companies that do have some of these types of products or even competing products, that they're not Target or they're not Walmart, they're not these large companies where everyone goes that can lead to them being discovered. So people aren't, I'm not saying that no one's loyal to brands anymore, but that convenience that Courtney was talking about and the availability Courtney was talking about, that's a huge factor when it comes to not just people shopping online, but where they're shopping online.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying convenience and availability are going to trump, in many cases, brand, which I think is going to provide a great opportunity for a lot of companies that don't have a brand out there, and they're competing against these companies that have huge TV budgets, radio budgets, things like that. So that's exciting for some of our small and medium-sized, listeners out there. I wanted to maybe then talk a bit about, let's take that convenience side of things. What's happening with timing? I mean, why are people, do you see any impact that COVID has on timing this year and being prepared for the holiday seasons for vendors out there that are getting prepared? And maybe, Matt, maybe you can chat to that as well.
Yeah, I'll go high level because I know that Scott and Courtney can dive deep into the numbers, but just generally, let's take two things. The one thing I was talking about, those CO2 cartridges, but something else everyone knows about, which were more of some places a necessity and a lot of places a necessity, like, just simple face masks. Early on, that was a prime example of people couldn't find them, and places that didn't use to carry them started carrying them. And sorry, I'm losing track of the question here. Can you repeat the question one more time?
Just the timing, like getting ready for. Yeah.
So when in time, especially to the holiday time, just knowing something's available isn't always going to be enough. A lot of these places that carry products that are going to be in demand or are traditionally in demand for holiday season, shopping, whether you're getting glasses, whatever you're getting, the supply lines are not moving as quickly as they used to because they're kind of getting these ebbs and flows of bulk buying and then no one buys and bulk buying. So I think it's hard for a lot of retailers, physically or online, to know how much stock they need to keep. So I think this is leading to, and we're seeing that there's more early research going on for the season. There's more possibly earlier purchasing to make sure that we had that issue with Amazon a few months ago, I think now, where even Prime people, I think all of us are Prime, we have that 2-day shipping. Well, things were coming a week, it was taking a lot longer. So people, that's in the back of people's minds. So I think their data is showing they're starting way earlier in order to make sure that they get what they want or that they need in time for the holidays, and not just maybe before, when we could purchase in mid-November and know we're going to get it by the beginning of December.
Scott, do you want to weigh in on that as well?
Yeah, just taking into consideration, and with our meetings with Google, they have shared some, interesting insights, the percentage increase in, time on mobile devices, time on YouTube, time just being on the web, and how much that has shifted since we've started working from home. And to Courtney's point, like all those little micro interruptions throughout your day, whether it's my son popping in and saying he accidentally closed out of his Zoom classroom and now I'm coming back. What we're trying to take advantage of is those micro interruptions almost serve as a cue for, people are sitting back down in their chairs and they're maybe checking their Facebook feed, or, they're hopping on Twitter and going to an article, to a site where there's, opportunities with display. And so taking this into consideration with timing, a lot of people are making searches for products and services that they need all throughout the day, and those micro interruptions also possibly prevent them from acting on it when they had an intent to. So now what we can do is leverage custom intent audiences, for example. So if somebody's in market for new computer monitors, affordable home office monitors, and they're making the search, but they're not necessarily acting on it, there's still an opportunity to get in front of that consumer and highlight those products through display campaigns or discovery campaigns. So being able to take advantage of those people who are making more frequent searches throughout the day, browsing more products, not necessarily acting for a number of reasons. And now you're able to get your clients' products in front of them at a very affordable cost, leveraging these campaign networks. And we're actually seeing a pretty positive result for a lot of our accounts where, they were typically only capitalizing on that bottom funnel traffic. So being able to create those custom intent audiences around different products or services and getting in front of those users when they're not converting. So that's been something we've seen a big increase in our accounts, and it's been paying off.
That's really interesting. And I heard the statistic from someone at Google saying that Christmas is going to come, or should I say the holiday season, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they're all coming really, really early this year, that we need to get prepared earlier. And I know, Scott, you spoke a lot about Google and Facebook, but no one's spoken about Amazon and how big an impact they have. I know that a lot of people use Amazon as a search engine specifically for products that they want to buy. Even last year, Amazon sales were up a massive amount. Courtney, I hear that Amazon's going to try and shake things up by having an Amazon Prime Day in October. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And I heard from some, good sources basically that we believe the final Prime Day is going to be October 13th. So this was just announced about 2 days ago. So I personally believe that's going to be the kickstart of the holiday season. Prime Day is bigger than Black Friday in some cases, where people are making their purchases. And this is the first time ever it's happening right before peak holiday season. So I think whatever clients want to consider putting in place measures, strategies, it needs to be done by October 13th to catch that traffic. They say 80% of holiday shoppers are going to be buying early. They want to avoid crowds. Buying in person is more stressful than buying online, especially for that older demographic right now. So these are huge shifts in the market and a huge benefit for our clients. I've been told by Google sources that Prime Day is historically known to be the third top highest search volume day of the year. That is what is estimated. My big efforts with my clients on the Amazon side, as well as on the Google or other search engine side, is that although the ROI might not be where we want it on those days should be focused on new customer acquisition for the holiday season.
Wow. So you brought on like so many crazy ideas here. First of all, if you want to capitalize on the holiday season, you got to get in here early. You got to, Amazon looks like they're going to try and steal the show by coming in super early, October 13th. And this is smart because what, Matt and Scott were saying is that, people are concerned about supply chain. So they want to make sure that they got presents in hand, and that in case there's a big rush on things, they're going to get there early. So very, very smart of Amazon to get in there early with this Prime Day, get things in there cheaply. So I guess one of the takeaways is if you want to be on Amazon, and you want to get ready, make sure you've got product available for October 13th, which doesn't give, a lot of time to a lot of our clients. And then I just wanted to talk about another trend that I'm hearing about, which is some of the population in the United States are finding things hard. They're out of work or they have got reduced hours. What is that? How is that impacting, or what do you expect that will impact when it comes to holiday shopping? I don't know, Scott, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. People are adjusting to their new normals. More people, as we discussed earlier, more states are loosening their restrictions. More people are going back to work. So the timing with that is great. People definitely have likely dipped into their savings. So it's probably not going to be a blockbuster year for, presents for a percentage of the population. And that's just the reality of it. Others have, they've adjusted, and maybe they're being more sensitive with the with their income and how they're using it. possibly preparing for another shutdown if things get even worse in the winter. But that all remains to be seen. But point being is, once again, this is still posing opportunities for emerging businesses, or businesses that can find their space by offering a high quality product at a lower cost. And to Courtney's point, what a lot of consumers will do is take advantage of this for that first initial purchase, and sort of focusing on the lifetime value of that customer. Because if you can get them in the door at a reduced cost, and this is a type of product where you're going to need to buy it every 3 months, or maybe even the following year. If you give somebody a good customer experience, a good user experience on the website, and they get the product and it meets their needs, now you're going to be front of mind when that consumer is ready to make a similar purchase, and they'll default back to you. But yeah, when it comes to price, there's still perceived value. There's a perceived cost of these products, and most people going online to shop, they're looking for the best deals, but they already have an understanding of what those price points are going to be. And regardless of whatever's going on in the economy, there are those products that the price is going to remain the same. And so that may lower the total purchase volume for those types of products this year, potentially. But once again, what are the alternatives? And what are some things where people have like-minded interests or similar interests to that product? And now that's an opportunity for them to get in front and steal the show.
Yeah. So I just want to maybe go over to Matt and talk about, so people looking for bargains, if people have this uncertainty, if more people are saving because they think maybe there's a second round of COVID coming, what does that mean to small businesses, people that have commodities like Scott talked about? What do you think is going to be the impact there?
Well, I think there's a couple, when Scott was talking, everything obviously is they're spot on point, especially from the consumer standpoint. I think from what businesses need to be doing also is thinking, okay, well, how am I actually positioning my product? Because it may have been before, I've said this forever, I'm always like, solve the problem, don't sell the product. So if you're calling out features like it does X, Y, and Z, well, if you have, I do not have children, but Scott and Courtney do, and so does Bernard. So, their experience, if you have a product that's going to work for families and that's going to help solve problems surrounding spending time with your kids, or internet connectivity so they can do their schoolwork, or things like this, it doesn't always mean like you're out of the chute, that people don't want to spend money on my product, but it's how you're going to position that product to make sure it's solving the problems now, not the problems that were solved January of last year. And I do think that people are, I think everyone understands that everyone's trying to save every dollar and every dime, but that doesn't mean spending is going to stop. But I do think people are going to be more selective with where they're putting their dollars. I mean, if people just didn't want to spend any extra cash, you wouldn't have seen Netflix subscriptions skyrocket in the last 6 months. I mean, really. So, but at the same time, I think more people saw that as I have more time at home. This is now maybe more of a necessity in a way for entertainment than maybe it was, prior, as a nice to have. Or if you wanted to watch Hamilton, you had to get Disney Plus. But so I do think that that's one of the effects you're going to see is, I think if brands are willing to change up the way they're positioning, changing out the features that they're actually calling out on their products, that's going to help them stand out more and possibly not take as hard of a hit than if they're not willing to adapt.
Well, I guess what I'm asking, and maybe I'll present this to Courtney, and I'll say it more directly. Do we need to be able to win in this upcoming holiday season? Are we going to have to discount our products? Are we going to have sales? When do we have to have those sales? If the holiday season's coming in early, is basically Cyber Monday, is that going to be extended out? Are we going to be seeing just a race to the bottom on prices and trying to get people in? I love the idea that Scott had about lifetime value. We'll come back and talk about that. But just specifically now, is this something that you're seeing or expecting in regards to like bargains and sales?
I think it's going to be a huge factor come the holiday season for bargains and sales. I also think it's going to extend out, and once again, people are going to be buying earlier. They're going to be buying paycheck to paycheck maybe, and maybe going hard around the 1st and the 15th might do a lot for our clients because they're going to need to divide up those gifts up through, to Christmas by paychecks. And then also, I feel in some cases and have read that parents or the spouses, whatever the case is, they're going to be actually spoiling their family a little bit more this holiday season because 2020 hasn't been that awesome in a lot of cases. So I feel like they're going to make up for it at that time.
So people have been holding on the other side. As Scott was saying, on the one side, people are considering saving. On the other side, a lot of families haven't gone on those expensive vacations. Yeah. Because they just haven't been able to spend that much money. So maybe they just squirreling that away and making the holiday season the best ever. So maybe that's the other side of it.
No luxury dinners out maybe, or, eating more at home together, not commuting, not using up those gas, dollars, or, cutting back on insurance that you might need for the car. All those little factors have definitely added up for a lot of households.
Cool. That makes me feel a lot more optimistic about what's going to happen. In fact, I heard the statistic that Google is saying somewhere between 30 and 40% increase in e-commerce spending. So even if the entire market is maybe the entire spend goes down, the e-commerce side is going to be up. Mm-hmm. So with that, and talking about trends like that, what are the other things that we're seeing with physical stores? I mean, there are a lot of our listeners out there, they've got their physical stores. And I mean, are they in trouble? Or is it going to be, do they have to pivot? What are your thoughts? I don't know who wants to take that one. Maybe hand that back to Matt.
Yeah, I'll go into that, but then I'll kind of open it up because I think Scott has some things to say and I keep cutting him off. I think on high level, this kind of goes back to you mentioned FOGO earlier, fear of going out. But that could also be just, fear of, I don't know what the fear of being touched, what that acronym is. But if anyone, I have a Target several blocks from my house, and I walk around and for the first few months I was hearing horns honking, and I didn't know what is that noise I keep hearing? And now that's a new alert for someone's outside to pick up. So it's a car driving up and it's a horn sound. It's like, oh, okay. So, that's one part of e-commerce where it's not just buying and then having it delivered, but it's like, yeah, they're doing their purchasing, but they are also, I can't remember what the stat was, I really wish I could, but there's also been a big increase in people looking for part of the availability part, the local businesses. Even if they want to buy it online, then pick up in store. You see physical, like Best Buy, they have a line now for pick up outside and waiting to go in the store. So and this isn't just, big brands. I mean, every restaurant in Los Angeles has done, you buy it and you have to either Grubhub it, you have to have it Postmated, or you wait outside and you pick it up, there. So I think there's a lot of small companies that have been able to stay open and mid-sized companies that if the ones that figured out early on, like, okay, I need to have something on my Google My Business saying that, you can pick up in store, you can order through this app, or you can have it delivered easily this way, they're going to reap the benefits, especially during the holiday season, because they're prepared. If people haven't, then that is a little more of an issue. But I think what you said I think the stat was, in Q2, e-commerce purchasing had gone up like 44%. So that does kind of go like, people don't have, they're not spending. Well, they are spending. They're just not spending the way they used to.
Yeah.
And I've done whole pieces of research on creating habits. We'll go into that later. But I think when it comes to the retail versus the online, it's more of a shift than just a shutdown. And that just kind of comes back again to where if there's local businesses that have closed, well, people have to search other places to find whatever those products were. And the little touch on the pricing, part you were talking about earlier, I think part of that's also going to come into availability. Certain products that are become far more available than they used to be in more places than they used to be, and then other ones where if the supply lines are squeezed, maybe the pricing volatility is not as big of an issue just because it's not as widely available, like Peloton bikes or something like that.
Right.
Scott or Courtney?
Yeah, sure. I remember those first weeks of the shutdown. My first trip to Costco, I was fueled with anxiety. It was like every little thing I was just, high alert. And over time, we've all adjusted. We all know the best practices now. We all have the social understanding of what to do and what not to do. And with the holiday season, I think it's going to be a big opportunity for people to seek things that are normal to them, that provide that sense of normalcy and comfort. And part of that is the holiday shopping experience. Is it going to be different? Yes, but there's also that feel good, sort of feeling when you're going out and you're shopping at your favorite places, or you're doing your yearly ritual of going to your favorite stores and buying all the little things that your family members love and they've appreciated year after year. So with that being said, I think there is a huge opportunity for brick and mortar locations. It's going to vary significantly based off of your location. I know me being in, Camarillo and Ventura County, it's a little bit less, population dense than something like LA. And so I really don't have those firsthand experiences of what that's been like, but I definitely have seen almost like an enhanced need to get out and visit your favorite stores. And we've seen that a lot locally just in the past month or so. Small examples of this are even like the farmer's market. It was completely shut down, and every single week as I'm running around doing my errands, you're seeing it get back to normal, and you're still seeing people practice all of those COVID social distancing measures and what have you. But I think the fact that we're kind of trained into what we should be doing when we're out and about, it's going to provide a big opportunity for those physical retail locations to offer their own discounts or specials or something enticing to get people back in the door, and it'll be really interesting to watch.
That is really interesting. Just to add to this, I heard from Google saying that there's going to be more research online, and then people are going to spend less time in the stores because they're worried about the time in the store. And then, so they've made all their decisions. They found out, for instance, Target or Best Buy or whatever has this product in stock, and they're just going to go in, pick it up and leave. What do you think about that, Courtney? Does that ring true to you?
Most definitely. That's what I was going to say. Stores have basically been reduced to a transaction point. So everyone's making their discovery and their decisions online and then going to the store for curbside pickup, perhaps. It says that curbside pickup actually grew 3,000% globally year over year.
Wow, that's a huge, massive, massive number. Do you think that it's going to be something we'll see for years to come, or it's only a COVID?
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to change how everyone does shopping in the future.
So in a way, some of those—
I'm going to jump in on that real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump on that
Okay.
real quick because we'll go through this in later, but this is something because I think Courtney and I, we both, and I'm sure a lot of us, if we're in marketing, we're interested in psychology and human behavior. And so I was doing some research for another article because I was thinking, at this point, I think right now, I think in California, the stay-at-home orders, if you went from that, was, I think it was been mid-March, like 15,
March
16,
19th,
17,
yeah.
something in there. And so tallying up the days were of this any kind of restriction, we're at 180, 190 days, somewhere in there right now, maybe a little bit more. Well, to develop a habit, if you're trying to consciously develop a new habit, it ranges from around 20 to 254 days, with the average being for an automatic habit for the average person being around 66 days. So even if it's not conscious, and even if everything opened up full tomorrow, I think enough time has gone by to go with what Courtney was saying, that even if it's not conscious, a lot of these habits are going to stick in some way, shape, or form for a long time.
So Courtney, I understand that Amazon is, been so successful. I think a lot of people think about going shopping and they go straight to Amazon, but both Facebook and Google are providing mechanisms to really compete on this e-commerce side. I'd like to start with you, just talking about some of the areas that Google is trying to really capture more market share when it comes to e-commerce this holiday season. Are there any areas that, or any new features that you've seen that Google's doing that our listeners should be aware of?
Sure, absolutely. Some items that Google has recently implemented are you can create special conversion goals in Google where you associate a conversion value with a new customer acquisition, and you can have that feed into your campaigns. And then you can also choose the campaigns that you want to focus on that specified new customer acquisition goal. So there's those options. Upper funnel is obviously important for discovery campaigns, and YouTube for new customer acquisition. It's ideal to have that full funnel, especially as we're entering the holiday season. And then another interesting factor bringing Amazon into the mix is you can actually measure at the campaign level, at the ad group level, and the product level, new to business sales. So you have your Amazon ad sales, and then you have your Amazon new business to ad sales, and you can measure the impact of those Amazon ad efforts with brand new customers.
Okay, well, I want to stay on Google for a second,
Okay.
and just tell me if you think this is if it's really helping retailers or not. But Google announced earlier in the year that they're offering these free product feeds. So you can take your product inventory and you can put it on Google for free. Are those products showing up? Is this just a ploy, or is it a real benefit to our listeners out there that have a whole lot of inventory? Should they be just putting all of this product on Google? Is it going to show up? Have they got a chance against the paid ads?
Most definitely. We've experienced this with a number of our clients already that are set up in the Merchant Center. It's just a simple setting in the Merchant Center to say that you want to show on all Google services. So make sure you have that enabled in the Merchant Center, and it allows your product feed to then show in Google organically below the paid listings, or I've even seen it up on the right-hand side of Google. It's very interesting.
Great. Well, I'm going to move over to Scott. Scott's our expert on social media. What is happening on social media? What trends? What's new? I know last year the big thing was you could start buying products on Facebook. Is Facebook, Instagram, are they doing anything special for the holidays?
Facebook and Instagram themselves, it's nothing incredibly newsworthy that I've seen. One of the biggest things talked around the paid social community and a lot of the forums that I follow and groups on Facebook is a big change to ad creatives. Facebook is removing the 20% text limit on ad images, which historically has been a big head scratcher, because we want to utilize that space in the creative to advertise specific discounts or promotions. And so that's going to be something really exciting to play around with, because before, if you did have over that 20 rule, your reach would be severely limited. So now you can have more standard ads that are static, and they just are in your face about what it is they're offering, and you're not confined to just putting that into about this much space of the actual creative. So that's something I'm excited about. It's something I've always wanted to take advantage of. Usually we have to go into taking those static images and turning them into some type of video creative slideshow type thing. So that's one, but a couple other things happening outside of Facebook that are providing a lot more opportunities. I would say our developers creating new plugins for different web platforms that make, feed management and integration a lot easier, or, pixel installation a breeze. So some of the things that have seemed like maybe too technical for some business owners, there's a lot of emerging players, independent developers who are providing these new resources that it's making their lives a lot easier. And we've been actually able to take advantage of a few of these for some of our clients. Now, one other thing that is going to be interesting on Facebook, and this goes back to one of the questions discussed earlier with what are businesses doing with the holiday shopping season starting early? This is a conversation that we're having with a lot of our e-commerce clients as well, because it's going to be an extended holiday buying season. So what we've seen is some of our clients come to us, as well as us reaching out to them and saying, you need to have your own version of Black Friday, and you need to figure out when it makes sense for you. We have seen, some people wanting to do this the first week of November, taking into consideration that Amazon's looking to do something in October, but coming up with their own branded, Black Friday type promotion where they're fitting in between everything else and really digging deep into those remarketing audiences to get in front of them again and say, hey, you haven't bought yet, this is your chance, So those are a few things kind of going on in the background that we've been watching and seeing with our clients, and just strategizing with them. So it's going to be really, really exciting and interesting to see how this all pans out.
That's great. Very interesting. So now I know everybody's thinking, I'm going to the holiday season. Which are the hot products? Which are the ones that, we really should look out for? Like, who's going to do really well? Are there ways for us to look for trends? I know Google has a trends.google.com, for those of you who haven't looked at that, but we're seeing a lot of that on social media as well. Scott, I know I'd like to go back to you and maybe ask that question. Like, who should be cheering, they're going to do really, really well? Like during the lockdown, we saw, or anything to do with the home, of course, people were just buying stuff like crazy for their homes because they all of a sudden it's like, wow, we're stuck at home. They're getting upset about the backyard. They're getting upset about what's, their monitor that they have to work at home. What's the holiday season gonna look like for products?
To that point you just mentioned, there were a lot of early adopters who were like, hey, I'm working from home, I'm going all out, I'm getting my home office set up, and all the bells and whistles. There's going to be a lot of people who were maybe adjusting in a similar sense, but to meet other needs. So they weren't necessarily investing in themselves or their own home office, but now it's that opportunity for the wife or significant other to get them that new keyboard that they've been talking about and wanting, or the new monitor set. So anything home office related, we are still expecting to see really strong sales, as well for more personalized items, or just things to make it a little bit more fun to work from home, I guess you can say. So new audio speakers, new LED backed keyboards and extended monitors, things of that nature. We're excited to see what the opportunities are there. But outside of that as well, COVID has served as a great opportunity for people to explore maybe past hobbies that they kind of grew distant from, or picking up new hobbies. Baking is something that I'm still doing since COVID started. It started with the bread making like everyone else, and now we're doing lots of homemade just sweets and other things that we need, where historically we just go out and buy it. Why not make it from home? Now we know how. But now I have a need for, I want my new, KitchenAid mixer. I want my new baking pans, because the ones that I've been using and, throwing in the oven over and over again aren't doing the same good things that they were previously. So anything with home office, anything with those at-home hobbies, whether it's gardening, baking, home exercise as well. To Matt's point earlier with Peloton, they're doing great still. And once again, it serves as an opportunity for smaller players to enter the space and fill those gaps as well. And in terms of apparel, we're seeing a lot of search trends increasing around the at-home lounge wear. So these are like your joggers, your sweats, your hoodies, things that make it comfortable to work from home. And this is really exciting as well. I saw an article, I wish I had it in front of me, but Champion, the clothing brand, they offer products wholesale to independent businesses, and you can put your logo on it. You can do whatever you really want with it, and it's a high quality piece of apparel that you can put your name on and market for yourself. So this is a huge opportunity for more, whether it's drop shippers or people who are looking to come up with their own clothing brand, really affordable, and you can have a lot of fun with it too, because you can make these almost like memeable pieces of clothing that make it fun to their interests. I know I get advertised constantly for like PPC, like pay-per-click and paid social related swag, and I think that's really cool. And so I would only, there's opportunities in every interest segment for new players to enter that space and take advantage of people's needs.
Fantastic. So maybe go around a little bit and talk about like what best practices out there. Matt, did you want to weigh in on what Scott was talking about? Are there any other products or best practices? Who's going to do well? Who's got a great opportunity out there?
I mean, I think, and this may kind of go into an area where we haven't really touched on, but Scott briefly touched on it, but basically it's that whole self-care industry. I think at this point, a lot of things, like I know Bernard and we would go to the same gym chain, and those have been closed down for a long time. And so like I have a good friend in Orange County who she works at a gym, a small independent gym, and they were very early on this. This comes back to the point of the trends. And they early on started installing cameras in their gym so they could do virtual training sessions. And now they've already been getting requests for, can I give like a 3-month training session as a gift that you can do on Zoom? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So I think I know that I've already been looking for, and I have other people have been asking about giving away subscriptions to home delivery things, or can I give away a year of Netflix? Can I give away, those kinds of things where, since a lot of, I'll just say the extraneous things we may have done that a lot of us maybe aren't doing anymore, we know pretty much what our friends and family, what they need and what they've been doing. So if we can, proactively give that for 6 months, I think that's going to be an interesting trend to see what happens there. But as far as, I think Scott nailed it as far as best practices go. I don't really have a whole lot to add on that. I think.
Okay, great.
I'm sure Courtney has some things in there too.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you guys both nailed what you're seeing there and what you expect to see. I think the only thing I would add in is headwear. I'm continuing to see a huge spike in headwear as people are doing outdoor activities, as that's sort of the safest option, hiking, walking, that sort of thing. And then just as far as best practices, I'm telling my clients that we need to start implementing certain things now so we're prepared for that spike that could start happening mid-October. Little things that we're working together on is making sure there's a customer match list uploaded to the account so we can utilize that feature and lookalike audiences. Responsive search ads and responsive display ads need to be implemented now. If they aren't implemented yet, we don't want to lose out on auction opportunity because we only have expanded text ads implemented. Let's see, Merchant Center Health, huge. Make sure that's fixed now before the holiday season. Site speed is an easy one to tackle before then as well. Countdown ads are a great idea for promotions leading into the holiday season. You only have 3 more days to take advantage of this offer. I think those are my biggest items I'm focusing on.
And I got a few more on the paid social side too. I see Matt, you're raising your hand.
After you.
Sure. Yeah, just to kind of expand on one of Courtney's items as well with the Merchant Center Health. It's not uncommon for some advertisers to have maybe a chunk of products that are quote unquote disapproved because they're out of stock, but they say, oh, leave it in there because we're going to restock that later. You do not want to have any disapproved items in your feed going into the holidays because, God forbid, something happens where now one of your products got disapproved. It's maybe your best seller. And if you typically have maybe a patch of red in there where your client's saying, oh, no, leave it because we'll restock it soon, you want to make sure that whatever's in that feed is live. That way, if you do see that first line of red for a disapproved item, you're investigating that and getting it back online. A few other things. When it comes to paid social, invest time and thought into your creative. It's going to be competitive this season. Everyone's going to be vying for those, consumer dollars. And this doesn't mean that your video has to be costly. It can be recorded directly on your phone and edited on your phone, or using a simple editing platform like Animoto or something like that. But putting thought into your creative to make it fun, and it depends on your brand image, right? You're not always going to get to be like fun and silly, but we've seen tons of success when people are able to get a little bit tongue in cheek with it. And it doesn't cost anything more than that. But what it does require is, coming up with maybe, just brainstorming internally, and just to figure out what's going to help you really have that thumb stopping effect as people are scrolling. And another thing that we are really encouraging is monitor your comments. Monitor the activity for your paid ads, especially during the holiday season, because that's when you're likely to be spending a significant amount more than you typically would month over month. And we have seen single comments completely slow down the performance or kill the performance of certain campaigns because somebody had a bad experience and they're airing it out. And on this, the other side of that coin, monitoring your comments serves as an awesome opportunity for you to, provide that little nudge or that feedback that is going to result in that person making a transaction where maybe they're just sitting on the fence, and maybe they were just dropping a comment to maybe voice a concern or ask a question. And people love it when the brand reaches out and responds directly to them in that, same comment thread, and just saying, hey, Megan, we have, new colors and styles for our headwear, check it out at the link below. And it's really fun as an advertiser and a social media user. I'm the weird one who's always clicking on the ads and reading all the engagements. I love to see how brands are responding to that, that social feedback. Some of them do great. Other times users hijack those ads and they just run with them, and it doesn't look good. So those are a couple best practices for paid social as well.
Thank you. Matt, yeah, go for it.
Go ahead. Yeah, so this is because, and this is just something that, it's one of those things I think we all think about, and it's easy to just kind of go under the radar. Don't neglect your own e-commerce site and the experience you're giving people on those sites. So a couple things that I'm finally seeing more of from some brands that I shop from. One is, consolidate your product line. What I mean by that is, if someone hits a page that has a product, that has a shirt, something crazy like this, well, if you have 6 different color schemes for that shirt, don't cause friction by them having to go back to the search results and then go back to put all those options in there that they can click through and see what those are. So it gives you that 600% more of an opportunity to convert somebody. So make sure that everything is giving a fantastic user experience on desktop and on one of these guys. And anywhere that you can, reduce buyer friction in your checkout. So don't hide your costs. If there's going to be a shipping cost, point that out up front. Don't surprise them with an extra $10 shipping charge when they go to checkout, because that's why you have abandoned shopping carts. And one other thing that, because Bernard, and I think a lot of people, and I'm the only odd person out, I'm not an Apple user, like I'm not an iPhone user, but so sometimes I don't think about how important Apple Pay may be as a digital wallet on your checkout. So if you just offer, like, I have a Visa and MasterCard option, well, what about Google Pay? What about Android Pay? What about Apple Pay? Make sure that you have obviously safe and secure checkout and more than 2 options for people to use, because you don't want to miss out on someone who's ready to purchase, but they can't purchase with what they're used to purchasing with, and you're just kind of out of luck. So make sure you reduce friction, you clearly consolidate your best products, and you have safe and secure checkout options.
Yeah, great. All of these are such great tips. I wanted to just add a couple of SEO suggestions in there as well. Google's brought out a lot of Google My Business enhancements. You can, and please just go in there, and there are so many different questions that they have in Google My Business right now. Fill them all out, that whatever is appropriate to you. For instance, do you provide curbside pickup? They're even feeding inventory into each of the locations for companies that have multiple locations. So for instance, is that product in stock or not in stock? That's a brand new feature that just came out today, actually. And they're obviously having your hours of operation and all the your images and videos updated, any Q&As answered. Those are all super important. So just to round up, I know National Positions is offering some help during this holiday season. Matt, what can our clients expect, or what can people expect out there that are listening to this podcast that just want a little bit of help from someone like National Positions?
Yeah, for sure. Well, for one, I mean, this is high level, and this is something we're encouraging everyone to, especially in the e-commerce side, because that's obviously where the opportunity is going to be. A couple things. One, of course, we have our complimentary consultation. So if you want us to take a look at your e-commerce site, you want Courtney or to check out how your Google ads are structured and where you may be missing out on an opportunity, or maybe how you can test better Facebook advertising with Scott. We always have that available to you. But something else we're doing, we've just recently started including shopping and product feeds for places like Google Shopping and Amazon, and these places where, I mean, quite honestly, anyone has access if they want to go and do this themselves, but it can be a time-consuming thing to take on. And just like Scott said, if you have, maybe you have 20 products, on Amazon, but you haven't structured them correctly, they could be rejected, and all of a sudden you're not showing on Amazon. So anyone who's running an e-commerce campaign, especially for the holidays, we're including those feeds, in those campaigns. So we will, we'll optimize that. We'll do all that for you and have full transparent reporting for everybody so you can see what's happening. So that's probably the biggest opportunity and need. So that's something that's available right now.
So we're in for a very exciting holiday season, expected to be bigger than ever before, 30-40%. Expect that more shopping is happening because people are scared of going out. For those retail stores, make sure that you have all your inventory online. People can do that shopping and investigation up front so that they can pick up via curbside, or they spend less time in the stores. Everything's coming earlier this year, so make sure to, at least that's what I'm hearing, so make sure that you are prepared as soon as possible for this holiday season. You are going to be in for a very competitive market. There's going to be a lot of sales. There's going to be a lot of comparative shopping going on. There's not a lot of loyalty, so that's good for brands that are just breaking in. I think this is going to be a super exciting time. Thank you so much to Matt, Scott, Courtney. You guys are awesome. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this Digital Breakthrough podcast. We really appreciate all your time, and please reach out to us at National Positions if you need any help to be successful this holiday season.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Y'all take care.
You've been listening to Digital Breakthroughs, featuring experts in all the areas of cutting-edge digital marketing. Digital Breakthroughs is hosted by Bernard May, CEO of leading social media and digital marketing agency, National Positions, located online at nationalpositions.com.